for neutral, but you were
So
doing
Ted
good,
Potts,
but getting your last plays wrong. They
but
were,
before you go back to that and you're going to score points with 25 minutes to play.
you've got a chance to, haven't you? Yeah, because what Hull did, they both sides were getting some small bits wrong. So you were getting your last tackle plays wrong in the first half. I think most of the time Hull KR, once they spread the ball, were a bit off, like just a beat off with the kind of passing plays in the first half. So, but what they did is they sorted that out. They showed up for each other in that first 20 minutes. They made line breaks with people supporting them, and that's what they're good at. It's what they're great at, is being fast out of dummy half or having a good support run of it, the likes of Coote in this game, but also Jez Litton and Matt Parcell, of course, and Mikey Russell when he's been fit. That's what they're good at, and they went back to that at the start of the second half and performed what they're supposed to do, whereas you guys never got back to what you're good at all.
No. It was woeful. But I said all along that Rovers would win. I really didn't think we'd win. Especially with our, quote, stars, unquote. But you know something? For all that, hand on heart, you and everyone else knows that I'm not really a Ben McNamara fan. But this season, the last, I did start saying, actually, I think, he's got potential. And we look far better with him and Lovadua at the halfbacks than we do with our multi-million, marquee players, whatever they are,
Yeah, and there was always an element of a chance of other clubs of other sides getting prepared then for what McNamara was doing well, which I thought he was doing. He was being a very good organiser, better than Gale's been, because there was no ego attached. And what Lovadua was doing, although Wigan didn't seem to prepare for him the other week because he was still able to get his offloads away and stuff. So in time, maybe teams would have prepared for that better. But when your players are that are hard to prepare for and not performing anyway, then why should they be in ahead of the other guys?
And you bring Reynolds and Gale in. Lovadua went to loose forward. I think that's the 5th different position he's played. How, you can't expect him to have the same impact.
Yeah.
And also by putting him at loose forward, suddenly we're playing a very different structure, because typically we've played Fash or Brown or another, prop forward there effectively. And then you've got Lovadua. You're not going to you can't play the same game.
No. Just a note, for the sake of balance, Sarah, I am going to mention Lachlan Coote. I thought was very good. He has now. I don't know if he's fully up to where he needs to be consistently, fitness-wise and that sort of stuff, but he is an influence now on this whole KR side, and that's what he needs to be as their big money signing. He is an influence on that side, so he's found his place in things there. So I do think he was very good. I did think Ethan Ryan, on return from was it his first or second maybe game of the season or something, he looked good. There were some impressive performances from Hull KR over the 80 minutes, even though both teams had scratchy periods as well. I certainly think the better side on the day won.
Oh, undoubtedly. But what I would also say is I thought that they were poor as well, because I think if we'd played against Wigan playing like that, they'd have scored 40 points against us.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Hull KR's best performance of recent weeks either, but they were definitely the better side.
Yeah, I mean, surprising. Coote's stats actually surprised me, because I didn't think he was as involved as he clearly was.
Yeah. A sad line out of this one. It looks like Andre Cervello is going to miss the remainder of the season after an injury picked up in this game, Sarah. He was forced off during the game, and scans have revealed he has ruptured his ACL, requiring surgery, which means season done. That's a shame for him.
Yeah, have you heard apparently he had a pop go in his knee and played for another 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, but anything where you hear a pop, that's just not nice.
No, it's not, and it's a real shame that it's probably the kind of game where a player doesn't want to go off, especially when your team are losing, and so there's an element of toughness and bravery in that, but there's also an element of, has he made it worse? You have to worry, but it might have required surgery either way if it's popped anyway. So good luck to him in his recovery. Hopefully he takes the time to embrace mindfulness as well, and not be as much of a bell end when he comes back.
I don't think he is particularly. It's very difficult, isn't it, when you're called offensive, racist names?
I'd look, take that incident out of it. The guy's had a career littered with annoying people at clubs he's been at, but I think he's endeared himself to your fan base more than he has any of the other ones he's played for. That's for sure. But anyway, we don't want anyone to be injured, so good luck to him in his recovery. Shall we get on to the game I don't want to talk about now?
Yeah. I'll start, calming down.
Well, you can enjoy me be annoyed, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'm quite as annoyed as you were, Sarah. But another full house, 17,980. Liam Moore was the referee. It was 12-4 to St Helens at half-time, and it was a lead that they were not for giving up at all. It was 22 points to 4 for St Helens at the end of the game after they were much the stronger side as the game wore on. In terms of the team stats, St Helens had over 500 more metres, made at 1.9 metres per carry better average gain, with 2 more breaks. Although an extra error and a slightly worse team tackle success rate, they don't take away from a very strong win.
No. In terms of the winning St Helens team, it was Tommy Makinson with 1 try assist, 12 tackle busts, 236 metres and 4 clean breaks. Mark Percival with 1 try assist, 137 metres. Johnny Lermax with 1 try, 136 metres. And James Bell with 133 metres. For the losing Wigan side, it was Brad Singleton with 43 tackles, of which 12 mark tackles. Ethan Havard with 43 tackles. Abbas Miski with 137 metres. And Liam Farrell with 110 metres.
Yeah, when one of your worst performers on the day, Miski, is in your stats roundup, that shows that you didn't have a good time of it. First fan review at JWPal9, James said, despite the best efforts of Mr. Minkcake to keep the game close in the first half, the Saints... That is because he was video referee, by the way, Sarah. The Saints' dominance translated to the scoreboard eventually early in the second half. Wigan seemed to tire after 30, and despite the half-time break, never seemed to get their win back. 2 great performances by Saints back-to-back against their strongest rivals. Roll on Elland Road.
At Mike Webb 58 said, cynical, boring and dull, but enough about the Wigan path. Sorry, Alan, couldn't resist. Simply unreal fitness, but great credit to Wigan for going toe-to-toe for 20 minutes. Tommy unbelievable and Johnny Lermax running the show. Credit to Benison and Bell in their first derby.
Yeah, James Bell was a surprise inclusion. I hadn't twigged that he might be called up with the suspensions and injuries he had in the back row, but he did play really quite well. Official Frode at Frodeness said, my first ever rugby league game, lovely weather and great atmosphere in the stadium, a memory for life. I will be back one day, have been a Saints fan for about 20 years, and it was about time I travelled over from Norway. And thank you to the lady behind me for shouting smash him whenever a Wigan player had the ball.
I got told off the shite that at a rugby match.
Did you?
It was one of Joshua's rugby matches.
Was he the ref?
I didn't shout it, I just told Joshua. Smash him in a legal manner but put him to the floor is what I was trying to explain. Would be good. Carsten said, a very close and intensive game in the first half with Lermax and Makinson at their best. How did Sam Powell didn't get red for that crusher? Have Saints a goal kicking problem? Did Hardacre get pissed again? How can an elite sports league not have their disciplinary right till after the next match day?
Right, there's a lot of questions there, and I think we need to cover a couple of them. The Sam Powell one I think will be mentioned by everyone from here on in, as it should be. It was an awful tackle and he's got a grade E dangerous contact.
Oh, is it E? I thought it was F.
Yeah. No, it's grade E, yeah. Refer to tribunal. So that's 4 to 8 games he could get. There's no excuse in it. It was when you saw the replay of it, it was just.
It was, yeah, I'd heard about it and then I saw it and it was worse than I was expecting.
Yeah. To be honest, watching it live from the end, you couldn't really see that he had him in that position. You just sort of looked like he'd thrown him to the floor, almost. Yeah. But then when you saw the replay, we were like, yeah, it should be a red, and he got away with it to a degree there, didn't he? Because it was just a yellow in the actual game, but it didn't make a difference to things. Saints goal kicking problem, I'm not sure. We haven't decided on that yet, have we? From the start of the season to now, did Hardacre get pissed again? Yeah, because Zach Hardacre was withdrawn from selection for the Easter round by Wigan for falling below the standards expected of the club. What I believe happened is he turned up late on the Monday morning after the Wakefield game, when the club had given him dispensation to not travel back with the team because he lives back over that way now, even though his contract says he shouldn't, but he does, and they've let him, and they've been nice to him about it, and apparently he repaid that by turning up late for his recovery session the next morning. So, yes. And then the Elite Sports League not having the disciplinary right till after the match next day. The reason, Carson, is because the games are played so close together, with the match review panel only convening on the Saturday, but teams having to name, under the operational rules, having to name their matchday squads for the Monday games on the Saturday. It's just seen as not practical to have the two things going side by side, so they push out the actual bans until after the other game, because the clubs can't name a squad and then have a player banned, but then they'd lose interchanges if they then replace that player in the squad. It's just, yeah, it's not ideal, but hopefully the double headers won't be a thing after next season, and then we won't have to worry about it, eh?
Yep, something like that.
Because loads of games were. Well, so we're going to constantly talk about it when we're in the second half of the games, I think, about players who were banned but played and had impacts on games.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because, teams were almost having to name... clubs were almost having to name their squads before they'd finished playing. It wasn't far off.
Yeah.
And I think short of the disciplinary meeting on Friday night or Saturday morning, that'd be the only way you could do it, wouldn't it?
And even then, when it's like tribunals, you'd have to have the panel and the tribunal be able to be done before like lunchtime on the Saturday. So, yeah. Mint Cake's Whistle said, "So good to be playing with Liam again. Mum said I sounded very good when getting the reviews. Shame I wasn't on the screen making those important calls. To all you non-experts thinking there was no difference between Hurrell's try and the one given later, it shows I know more than you all."
Ron Hoof said, when the Saints go marching in, Billy Boston's boys got battered. Get back off to the other side of the lump in your Hull shirt and take your refs with you.
Yeah, apparently, Sarah, Saints fans can't tell the difference between blue and black.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
St. David said, one of the oldest maxims in the game, the pack decides who wins, the backs by how many. Saints rode the Wigan Storm, the incompetent video ref, and the loss of Knowles to emerge fully in control by 30 minutes. The pack were magnificent, with Lomax orchestrating, Makinson, Hurrell, Wellesby and co put the pies to the sword. It could and should have been more. Only Moore knows why Powell didn't get a red. On to the Giants.
Matt Speakman said, can't knock the effort, but it's clear where we are compared to them. All our imports have improved the team, and it takes a couple more years of the same to get level. Didn't collapse, which we might have done last year, and Pete's decision to stick to his guns is a huge one. My computer's trying to do an update. There we go. Building a better culture.
Yeah, it was a big talking point amongst Wigan fans, the Zach Hardacre decision, but I think it creates a better environment if you do follow the principles you put in place.
Yeah.
White Pie said, a solid derby performance by Wigan, which showed although Saints are the best in Super League, they aren't unbeatable. Well, they were.
Who showed that, actually, White Pie?
Yeah. Yeah. Wigan were in the game for half an hour, and despite a disallowed hurl try that should have been given, weren't out of it at half time. A strip missed by Lomax saw Wigan lose the ball on Saints line